Alright, thought I'd do a semi-quick video explaining how to protect yourself against some of this virus stuff in kind of the simplest, crudest way, where you don't have to fix something, you just rely on a backup copy. And so basically the idea is to copy your operating system onto something else, like an external hard drive. I bought that one used on eBay for like 13 bucks. 150 gigabytes, and so if my system fails, my hard drive crashes, or I get a horrible malware or virus or something else, I can put a copy of my operating system on that drive, and then just take that drive out of the box and put it into my computer. So this will also work if you have a computer that doesn't have room for multiple drives. I mean, my computer, I got 4 hard drives in it. So I got plenty of room to put extra drives in to have copies of my operating system, so as a fail-safe. And so it's good for the two purposes: one, in case your hard drive just breaks, and two, in case you get infected by some horrible computer nonsense that destroys your computer. And then everything you have, your desktop, everything will just be just the way it was, and you don't have to change anything, and it's just really good. So there's a couple of ways that you can protect yourself also. Simple. So we'll go through these really quick. I'll try to be quick. So if you hit the Run menu in Windows XP off the Start menu, and you type in, I should have it actually in here, so I should just have to grab it from the menu here, regedit, regedit. That's all you got to type, and hit enter. That'll bring up your registry, and it has all this bullshit, this secret code of the Windows operating system in here. So anyway, you just want to copy the entire registry. So you put it on my computer, and you go to the file menu, and it gives you the option to export. And so you just export the entire registry and just give it a name that you'll be able to find. And so I will type in some sort of bullshit, and you make sure where it is, and you just hit save, and it creates a copy of your registry. And all you'll have to do if something's going really wrong is you just double click that reg file, and I'll show you. It should be in here. It takes a little minute for it to make the file, but there should show up here. So it's a rather large file, 118 megabytes, but it's not that big. It's a small video file, but anyway, it's a reg file, .reg. And just double click that, and it will reinstate your registry to the state it was in when you made that file. So if you get a virus or something, a lot of them, that will kill it, but it'll take you to a previous state that'll undo all the changes the virus made to your registry. Now, malware and worms and that kind of stuff, they get into files themselves, and the registry isn't going to fix that. So that kind of thing is what you need to have some backup plan for. If you don't want to have to run a bunch of lousy, crappy, anti-spyware software that half the time slows your system down and gets infected itself and makes a mess. So anyway, so this plan is about copying the disk. So you sort of have to be familiar with, if you're going to do this disk thing. So let's say you have an external hard drive, USB drive, that's a little larger than your operating system drive. You go to computer management. I'll show you the progression. It's control panel, computer, whatever, administration, and computer management, and then under that menu you have something called disk management. So you go there, and it'll show your hard drives, and you can mess with them, and it does show the USB ones that you have plugged in. And so here's the one I've copied my operating system to, so I have another copy of my whole operating system on that partition. I'll just show you how to create a partition by deleting the one here. So I'll delete this partition on that drive. So basically you want to just get to all unallocated space, and then create a partition on the drive. Let's say you have a 250 megabyte external drive, and your operating system, your C drive, is only 60 gigabytes or something. then all you really want to do is create a partition big enough to hold that operating system. So you can throw away an extra 5 GB or something, but so just make it a little bit bigger just to be safe. And you do that by finding the drive, and then you'll right click on the empty space and say new partition, and you just go through this little wizard menu. You want a primary partition, and when you already have one partition, it'll already allocate the remaining space, but you can just change this number. I could make 5 partitions on here, and well, I just did accidentally, but I really don't want to do that. So I'm going to type in the 59 number just so I don't have a mess here. 624. Alright. And then you just hit next, and then you assign it a drive letter, and you're set. And you can't change the format. It's always going to be NTFS, but you can do that other ways. But unfortunately, under DOS, you can't. Under Windows, you really can't FAT32 any drive over or any partition over 35 gigabytes. So it's sort of useless. And for this method, you don't need to format. So let me go back, and because I don't want to do any format. Well, I mean, for this partition I do because I want to store space on it, so I will format it, and it shouldn't take long, so it shouldn't matter. So anyway, so it's formatting that little extra hunk of drive. So the tool we're going to use, so that's the first tool. So you create your partition. One of them you can make active later or before. It apparently doesn't matter, but you probably will have to make it active to be a bootable drive afterwards. Yeah, this format will take a while because I did a regular format. But anyway, that shouldn't get in our way. Really shouldn't. So this is the tool we're going to use. It's I'll leave a link for this. It's free software, and it allows you to make mirrors of a hard drive, which means you can make a file copy that you can basically, through the same software, put back on another drive. So you could copy your operating system into a non-bootable state, but it'll be a copy of everything, and then you can load that copy back on another hard drive to make it bootable to your operating system. I think it's easier just to do this drive-to-drive thing and create another bootable copy of your operating system if you have, number one, the capacity to add hard drives to your computer directly, or if you're using an external that you can get the hard drive out of. And so that'll be another video I'll do, just taking that hard drive enclosure apart. You can buy them cheap, just the enclosure, and put your own hard drive in it, and then you'll know how to take it apart and get the hard drive in and out. And it makes your life easier because then you can have it as an external USB hard drive for storage when you want it. But it's also a backup of your system, so if something happens to your main hard drive, you'll have that backup hard drive that you can just pop out of the box. So this K1 is the yeah, see, this one hasn't been formatted yet, unfortunately. So, well, we'll use it even though it's a little dangerous, just to show you the example. So you would pick, first you pick the drive you want to copy. So that's the C drive, the major drive on my computer. And then you would hit the next menu. And this is the key part here. There's this thing called raw mode. I tried it a couple of times where it adjusts the size of it can basically takes out all the dead space, so you could actually take your operating system to a smaller partition. You could move it to a smaller drive by taking out the dead space, but that didn't work. So if I click this raw mode, it did work. So you'll need to have a partition that's at least as big as the one you're copying. So your external drive will have to be at least as large as your operating system partition. So anyway, so you click raw mode, and then you hit next, and it's basically pretty simple. I can hit the next menu because that's the one where you just choose. Now you choose which drive you want to send it to, and this would be disk 4.1 is the one I used, and you can see 90 gigabytes. That's my hard drive, and it's the same number as my operating system hard drive was 82. So I killed a little bit of space, but that's okay. Yeah, and then you hit next, and it'll start when you pick what drive you want to copy it to, and then it'll start, and it'll give you a little warning screen and tell you you're going to be eradicating the drive you're going to, the USB drive, and you just type in what it tells you to type in the box and say yes, and you will. And it took about 5 hours for it to do 90 gigabytes, which wasn't bad, really. And then I did try to boot it by changing the settings in the BIOS on the computer, but it really didn't do much good, because apparently you can't really boot XP from an external device unless you really screw around with the data files, and I wasn't going to bother with that because really it's not worth the trouble. So I did get an error when I tried to boot from it, but it should be okay. The error, I don't think there's any permanent damage. So what I'm going to do in the next video is I'll take that box apart, pull the hard drive out, put it in the computer, and boot from it just to verify that it worked. So anyway, the rest of this video I'll just put in fast motion is me making all kinds of mistakes and fucking this up to do it the first time. But anyway, so this is free software. It's pretty damn good. And so I'll post a link to the software. So the only thing you need is this free piece of... I gotta start. I didn't mean to start. I don't think I did. Alright. Yeah, just get out of there before I make a mess. So the only thing you really need is this, the computer, the disk manager, disk management in Windows XP. You just need to get to there to do your partitioning, and just use the free software to do the drive creation, and then you can back up your operating system and never worry about having to find lost files or get lost files, or send your hard drive off to get read, or some other kind of bullshit. Anyway, and so I'll just put on the end of this video in fast motion the stuff I went through learning this, or learning how to do it right. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I didn't make that many mistakes. But yeah, I worried about FAT32 and all this kind of stuff, but I didn't really figure out that it's erasing the partition anyway, so it doesn't matter what it's formatted as. So you don't have to worry about formatting. You just have to create a partition, and then have it identified so it can be erased with the new partition. So anyway, enough of a video. Hopefully a little bit coherent and such. Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing that. You really don't need to see the icons. Yeah. Alright, anyway, until next time. And such. Links.